There's a particular kind of quiet that settles over a person when they've started to suspect that the house has to go. They don't say it out loud. They don't put it in a comment on a YouTube video or bring it up at dinner. They just feel it late at night. The slow math, the rising insurance bill, the stairs that are getting a little harder than they used to be. And they carry it alone because admitting it out loud feels like admitting they failed at something. If that's you, I want to say one thing before we go a step further. You did not fail. The fact that you're doing the math at all means you're succeeding at the one thing that actually matters in retirement, which is telling yourself the truth while you still have room to act on it. I'm Elle, and this is Designing Retirement. Today we're talking about the other door, the one a lot of you have been standing in front of, not quite ready to open. Let's open it together. Last time I told you about Margaret, who looked honestly at the numbers and the life she'd built and decided correctly to stay in her house. Some of you watched that video and saw yourselves in her, and you told me so. You're the confident ones, and you're right to be. If that's you, you have my blessing to stay exactly where you are. But don't click away just yet, because here's the thing about this video. Even if it isn't about you, it's almost certainly about someone you love. A sister, a friend from church, the woman you have coffee with on Tuesdays. So stay with me, because understanding this might let you be the person who makes it easier for her. Now let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor is 68. She's lived in a 4-bedroom colonial in a suburb of Philadelphia for 31 years. The house where she and her husband raised 2 sons, the house with the good light in the kitchen, and the dent in the doorframe where she's marked the boys' heights every birthday. Her husband is gone. Her sons live in Denver and Austin, and the math simply did not work. Her Social Security and a small pension came to about $2,000 a month, but the taxes on that house alone ran $9,000 a year. The insurance had climbed 2 years running. The roof was a known problem she was pretending not to know about. But by the time everything was counted, the house was eating something close to $1,900 of her $2,000 every single month, and the gap was widening. She knew. She'd known for a while, but every time the thought surfaced, a second thought rose up to drown it out. This is where the boys grew up. I can't be the one who lets it go. What finally moved her wasn't a spreadsheet. It was her younger son, on the phone, saying gently, "Mom, we don't need the house. We need you, and we want you to be happy. And we'd like to have you able to afford to come see us." So she sold. And here's the part the silent math doers never quite let themselves imagine. Eleanor cleared a little over $300,000 from the sale of her home. She bought a 2-bedroom condo 8 minutes from her best friend, with no stairs, a balcony just big enough for the herb garden she actually used, and a building that handled the roof, the snow, and the lawn she'd grown to resent. Her housing costs dropped from $1,900 a month to about $900. For the first time in 4 years, she stopped lying awake doing arithmetic. And her sons started visiting more, because now there was a guest room they didn't feel guilty occupying, and a mother who wasn't quietly drowning every time they called her. Eleanor didn't lose her life when she sold that house. She got it back. So if you're somewhere in Eleanor's story, and statistically far more of you are than will ever admit it in the comments, let me walk you through how this is actually done. Not the grief part, which is real and which we'll honor, the mechanical part, which is more manageable than the dread makes it look. There are 4 stages, and the dread almost always lives in stage 1, even though stage 1 is the cheapest and most reversible part of the whole thing. Stage 1 is the honest accounting. And you've largely done this already if you watched the last video. You know your real carrying costs. You know your gap. What I'll add here is a single number most people never calculate. Your cost of staying, expressed not as a monthly figure, but as a yearly one, because $1,900 a month is a number you can talk yourself past. $22,800 a year and rising is a number that tends to end the argument. Write your number down. Sit with it. It's the most honest sentence in this whole process. Stage 2 is the equity question, what the house is actually worth to you after the costs of selling. And here I want to gently correct something because the silent camp tends to make one of two opposite errors. Some overestimate, picturing that Zillow number and forgetting about real estate agent commissions, closing costs, and the repairs you've been deferring will take a real bite out of your equity. Others underestimate so badly they talk themselves out of selling, convinced the equity is too small to matter, when in fact it's often the largest single sum they'll ever have access to in retirement. So get the real number. A trusted real estate agent will give you a realistic net after costs estimate for free. You are not allowed to make this decision on a guess. Stage 3 is the part nobody warned you about, and it's the one that actually paralyzes people. It isn't the selling, it's the sorting. 31 years of belongings, the boys' artwork, your mother's china, the garage. I'm not going to tell you this part is easy because it isn't. I've done it. But I am going to tell you the single reframe that gets people through it all. You are not throwing things away. You are deciding with your own hands and your own judgment what comes with you into your next chapter instead of leaving that decision to your exhausted children in a worse week than this one. Every box you sort now is a kindness to the people you love. That's not loss, that's authorship. And stage 4 is the landing, choosing where you go. The mistake here is treating the new place as a consolation prize, a smaller, sadder version of what you had. The people who downsize, well, do the opposite. They choose forward. They ask not, what am I giving up? But instead, what do I actually want my days to look like now? And they discover that the 4-bedroom colonial was answering a question their life stopped asking a decade ago. Eleanor didn't want a house. She wanted her best friend 8 minutes away and her hands in some basil. The house had been an answer to the boys, and the boys had grown up and gone. So here's where I'll leave both of you, the ones who are staying put and the ones who are quietly getting ready to go. To the stayers, be gentle with the Eleanors in your life. When she tells you she's thinking of selling, don't say, oh, but you love that house. She knows she loves that house. That's exactly why the decision is hard. Say instead, that sounds like a brave decision, and I'm here to help you with the heavy boxes. Be the son on the phone. And to the silent camp, the ones who came to this video alone and won't say a word about it anywhere, selling the house is not the end of the life you built there. The life was never in the drywall. I told you that last week, and I meant it in both directions. You can take every memory with you into a home that lets you breathe again. Letting go of the house is not losing yourself. For an awful lot of people, it's the moment you finally stop disappearing under the cost and the weight of it. You don't have to decide today, but you're allowed to decide. And whatever you choose, choose it the same way Eleanor finally did, with your eyes wide open and on purpose. If you want help getting the honest numbers down, the free Retirement Readiness Scorecard is linked in the description below. And the prosperity section will give you the real cost of staying figure in about 5 minutes. And you don't have to comment if this video hit too close to home. I know a lot of you won't, and I understand why. just know that if it did, you're not alone in the quiet. There are far more of you out there than the comment section will ever show. See you in the next one.